Record to this computer. All right, did you hear something? You saw something? I'm seeing it. Okay. Record to this computer. I'm going to tuck myself into the corner. We're not seeing the iPad. Of course, I had to do a restart. Silly, 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 silly. Um, HD. We'll switch back to iPad. And we should see an iPad with my main page on it in 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right. We're in business. Magic post production. Hopefully, we'll kill that out. Welcome to this week's training in the entire entrepreneur system. We are doing what I call, because everything has to have a name, the EES, VIP, CSC launch system. We will define all of those terms and more in the next 40-ish minutes. And my intention is to have this feel really fast and really valuable to you as we move forward. Let me pin myself so that everyone sees me big. Hopefully, I don't know if it's gallery, but I should be. Um, a little world building. We have a bunch of guests and new friends in the room today. World building for us is the shape that you see in the middle of the screen is the entire universe of the entire entrepreneur system. We are focused in this one little corner, which I call the banana stand. And the banana stand is where we do money things, business strategy things. This is our world. This is the banana stand system. Today, we're going to talk about learning and earning through the launch system I call the CSC. Okay. Before we dive in, Deb has heard this now 7,000 times. We operate inside the entire entrepreneur system with what I call some universal truths. The three universal truths that tie everything we do together is going to be first that who you see yourself as matters. Okay. In order to see meaningful life change, which is the actual goal of the entire entrepreneur system, is like have you feel better. We need to change or at least address how we see ourselves. So we do a lot of work on identity, on the stuff between our ears. The end goal is that we inside the EES build a telephone booth that you step into as your version of Clark Kent, you step out your version of Superman, and you can call on this phone booth situationally before workshops like this so that you know who you are, remember who you say you are, and can be that person for the 45 minutes of a live training, sales call, whatever with your child. This is, to me, A1, but this is also a little bit of the medicine, and the sugar is over here. And so, in order to see the changes that we work on inside and between our ears, we have to do something. So, when we do things, it makes sense that we do them strategically, that we have a system so that our effectiveness increases. We call that the entire entrepreneur operating system, EEOS. Think iPhone. It allows us to add apps into our world so that when we do things, it is maximally effective. I am not in the business of having you work more. I think hustle is a reasonable piece of advice for Jaron, who is the youngest person on this call. He can outwork people and should for a while. At a certain point, it is not a matter of how hard you work. It is about how strategically you work. And that brings us to our next point, which is we can increase the surface area of our luck by using strategy. So now it's not just effectiveness in a vacuum where we're thinking mindfulness and we're thinking productivity, we're thinking strategy. How do we build games that are more likely that we win? Today, we're going into what I consider probably my best concept inside of the banana stand for people who are knowledge workers and or want to use their unique skill sets to win more. Unique understanding of the world and your experiences to win more. This is what we're doing today. So the purpose of the training is to get you in to action. And what I'm going to endeavor to do today is make it feel simple enough that you trust that you could get started by the end of the call. What I'm about to present, I hope, feels meaningfully different than however the hell you were thinking about course building or community launching, if you were at all. So, three big buckets. We're going to work on some definitions. My world, I have a created life document. Deb knows it well. Jaron was on for that. In my created life document, it says, words matter. Therefore, I am specific and I am accurate. We're going to define some terms so that we're all talking about the same things. Then we're going to outline the 4-step process. Most of you saw the supporting kind of opt-in lead thing that I worked on. I think it's cool. That is going to be mostly this middle part of the content today. And then what I would love to do is, if there's time, work on messages for all of you. And so Brett already posted on LinkedIn yesterday. I'm stoked about that. But there is a force in and of itself is just velocity. So when we move fast, stuff happens. I'm doing everything I can not to talk about jujitsu right now, but you have to make a move for moves to happen in jujitsu, and such is life. So as a counterpoint to where we're headed, let's talk about what doesn't work. And you might notice that this is a little bit of what everyone does, or what you, on average, the average person thinks to do when thinking about stuff like monetizing their ideas, creating some form of quote unquote leverage, right? I don't want to exchange my time for money anymore. I want to build a course. Great idea. So what do? You go into the basement and you start chopping together parts of other people's courses that you've seen, ideas that you've seen. You build this Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein was the doctor, I know, right? So you built this Frankenstein's monster that has never seen the light of day. And when you release it into the world, people scream and run. We can't build in the darkness and think that it's going to be pretty in the light. But to launch a course, to build a course, you are almost certainly going to go into some studio, build one in your house, borrow camera equipment from a friend, work out how you think it's going to be the most compelling way to give the information. And then you're going to try and say it well. And then you're going to edit it. It's going to be a mess. And you still, all that time, have no idea what people are going to think of it. And most often than not, they're going to think it's a monster and run away. Let's just say you finish a thing and put it out in the world. You are now competing with Masterclass. By show of hands, who has ever watched a Masterclass class? That is a TM'd product, Masterclass. Production on those are, I don't know, 12 out of 10. You can't do better than the production. The person who is leading those classes represents the world's most leadingest expert in the thing. The post-production, the storytelling, everything is dialed. And what's it cost? I don't know, like $200 a year. Congratulations, you created a product that now has to compete against that or things like it by other creators. And so you've now created a ceiling on what you could possibly charge. Just by the nature of choosing to say this is a course, downloadable as you will, whenever you want, you are now competing with everyone else's courses. And that's a hard game to play. To me, I don't want to play that game. Baked into both of those is however you build the content, you are likely doing some things that look like deep work or attempted to be deep work of learning new tools and technology, which is not your highest and best value. That is not where your magic happens. Your magic is with people. Your magic is with clients. Your magic is not figuring out how to update the widget so that it works the way that you wanted it to. All of this points to it takes 3 or more months before you have any sense of, did I waste my time? And the answer, almost certainly, if you don't have a massive audience, is yes, you did. You spent a lot. It was I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You learned things, you organized your thoughts. Those are good things, but you didn't necessarily make money and you didn't find that um, elusive, uh, no longer changing time for money type thing. Because if you had counted all the time that you put into building a course, you are in the negative, almost certainly. So, what does work and what is a counter to that dystopian version of course launching that I just built for you? I think it's instead of building anything, what we focus on, and you've heard this before if you're in the community, is we focus on building an offer, on crafting and creating the most compelling version of an offer that we can conceive of. We make something as good as possible. Typically, that means there's a clear deliverable, clear point atable outcome at some milestone in the future. That is not crazy far. That is close. Okay. Offer is not build the content, it's conceive of what will be valuable. Then we take that thing that we believe is already valuable and you run it through this CSC model, VIP CSC system to make it 11 out of 10, 12 out of 10, more valuable than the most valuable thing you could have conceived of, way better than the course version of it. And then we package it such that there is a clear start and end date so we can pull a level of commitment out of someone else's curiosity. So people go from, ooh, this is interesting to I'm in. I'm in. I can commit this amount of time to this thing. This sounds like a fair trade. Let's do it. Okay. And so we're going to get deep on that now. My working definition for VIP CSC is it's the fastest, most valuable, and most effective way to deliver knowledge one-to-one or one-to-many. Emphasis on one-to-many. It's fast to build, it's fast to validate, and when executed well, it can create a meaningful cash injection into any business. I launched the EES, this community, July of last year, $20,000 month. Kmo, who will join in 30 minutes after he finishes his workout, he's on more of the West Coast Mountain Time, had a $10,000 day last week using the systems that we're talking about here. Okay. Sarah, my wife, uses this sort of model, or initially used this model, and now it's built out to be a continuity community offer to supplement the very cyclical product sales in her business. This is how she buoys a hard goods business. This is useful for any business because it creates the dream of reoccurring, consistent cash. So cash injections in any business. And if we're doing this right, this should be clear that it is a superior alternative to launching a community or building a course. That's my working definition. So for some context, for folks who haven't been through the content inside of EES, one of the main mechanisms inside of what I call the banana stand strategy is this rapid revenue roadmap. Okay. There is an assumption that someone joins a organization, a group, a community, a system like the entire entrepreneur. Part of what you care about is making money. I can't overlook it. I can't pretend that's not true. So what I built is this matrix, we'll call it a XY graph that has a value vertically, time horizontally. I'm going to map some ideas against this. Tell me where I'm wrong. Fastest way to make a bunch of money would be to have a really, really good service offering to a really ideal client who sees the value, says yes. So this is one of one a la carte. CARTE. I think there's an E on that. One of one a la carte. We'll put it there. I don't like yellow. Not showing up. One of one a la carte. To make money as fast as possible, you know someone who needs something, offer it to them. To make money as slow as possible, spend 2 years on a manuscript and write the next great American novel. Write your nonfiction memoir. Codify the knowledge in your mind into a book and shop it around or self-publish it. It's a great way to have that information never see the light of day. There are people who sell books that actually get read. Most books that are sold, New York Times best-selling books, are purchased to sit on bookshelves. Some people read them. If the objective is make money or impact the world, I think that this is not a good strategy. Very close is a course. It doesn't need to take you 2 years. Maybe it's somewhere around here. But courses that are evergreen, show up, pay when you want, $49 a month, $49 one time, whatever it is. $49 one time is more accurate, right? 99, $199. People might buy them, but will they consume them? It might make money, but does it make the impact? I don't know. I'm going to call me jaded. I think that there are more courses that have been purchased than have been consumed. And the difference between those two things is massive. Okay. So if the objective is both impact and income, then I think we need to start looking in here. And I call it a productized offer. Productized offer is something that is repeatable, something that is specific, something that anyone enters in, goes through the same system, walks out with the outcome that we're talking about. And then I just think that there are ways to maximize the productized offer. Does any of this sound confusing or not make sense? You can go across if it looks good. Yes, it's confusing. Say something else. No, good. Blank stares. Feeling
You're
good.
going to
Okay,
present
I'm going to keep it moving.
examples, maybe, right? Examples.
I just saw a Kamo post from last class, and that confused me. So this arrow is what we're going to talk about today. We'll define some of the terms. VIP. I like to talk about it in the opposite direction, but for sake of brains, VIP, what we're talking about is we're delivering a thing that's going to represent the highest touch version that you can conceive of. We start there and then we scale back based on what you actually want to deliver on people, to people. CSC, CS, case study. What case study allows is now you have changed the power dynamic from anyone who has money, could be a customer, to, hey, I'm looking for absolutely committed, perfect fits who I'm going to be able to tell amazing stories about. So this is an application. This isn't just a checkout page. Because this isn't how my kid goes to college, is how I say it. This is how I build a groundswell of people who are just so bought in that they can't lose and I can't lose. And so my focus right now is perfect fits. Last C, cohort. Launching a community and getting your first sale is the most polarizing of experiences, because you will feel excited and the person who makes the first purchase into a community is going to feel like they were lied to, is going to be confused and alarmed and question everything that you've ever said to them. Can you imagine that is true? Walking into a community app and there's no one there and there's no conversations and there's no chat. And what did I buy? What did I just say yes to? So we go with a cohort. And the cohort means that in 2 weeks on January or June 1st, we're gonna get started. Over the next 2 weeks, I'm having enrollment conversations. You've made this commitment today on May 14th. Here's the stuff I'm going to give you to have you something to chew on and work through for the next 2 weeks. But we start on June 1st. On June 1st, bang, 7 people show up. Now it's a party. There is never that awkward dance floor moment where it's like, who's the first person to dance at the party? The bravest soul that you know. So we want everyone to go to the dance floor at the same time. It's 5 people, it's 10, it's 25. It is a far better experience for everyone. And it allows you room to build the community, like the cohort and sell and enroll all the while. Alas, the last thing, and I think a little bit about you, Deb, depending on where you're at in the world, is that we can also call this VIP case study client, right? Cohort is how I want you to think about it. I think it's the best on ramp into community offers, but client is perfectly reasonable. And so, like, hey, I've been doing this a la carte systemized or, very high touch service based thing. I'm transitioning into a done with you type model because it's not perfectly buttoned up yet. I'm going to offer a VIP experience where I'm focused on case studies. Does this sound like something you'd be interested in? It's going to be one-on-one with me, but we're working together. I'm not just working for you. So you can also do this as a client offer. Those are the terms. This is the system. EES community folks, we've done a lot to talk about offers and offer architecture and optimizing our offers. The name of the game, the do not pass go, it will not work unless, is we need an offer that's really compelling. We need something that you believe the ideal client in your world will go, holy smokes, that sounds awesome. The way that I build that consistently or work with people is we identify problems, we create solutions. Those solutions leverage 3 mechanisms. Problem. My problem is I don't have the right level of self-talk to take my business to the next level. I'm aware that I need to change who I'm being to access the next step. Cool. We have the authored identity framework. We solve that by building a phone booth. That phone booth you step into like Clark Kent, you step out like Superman. That's a problem and a solution that doesn't talk at all about what's happening, how it's happening, when it's happening, what tools we use, what technology we use, what software is involved. It's a problem and a solution. We can then go a level deeper, talk about mechanisms. Mechanisms are ideally proprietary, but this is where we can start to say stuff that other people might say too. These mechanisms create benefits, right? And we want to have as many benefits as is reasonable or as you believe is true. All the while we omit things that sound like gigahertz, RAM, processing speed. We say things like 1,000 songs in your pocket. You tracking with me on that early Apple story example? Cool. Go deep on this in a bunch of different places. Right? So we have a deliverable, which looks like the solutions, closed end timeline. When you use a system like this, I'm currently calling it the 3x3x3. When you use a system like this, you now have a really compelling 9 mechanisms and 9 potentially unique trainings or workshops from where you can now have a 10 or a 12-week cohort that makes a bunch of sense. What I've found is that 12 weeks of new information feels like a fire hose for almost all humans that are doing things other than trying to consume and implement your concepts. So 9 trainings over 12 weeks is pretty interesting. You could do a welcome call. You could do a pause in the middle where it's just like make up past homework, catch up on anything you might have missed. You're now at 11 weeks. And the last is a graduation testimony. Show us what you've seen in the world. It's a clean 9 weeks. And now you don't need 3x3x3. I just think it tracks really well and looks really good. If you get motion sickness, look away. This is the entire entrepreneur system. We have the authored identity framework, the entire entrepreneur operating system, the banana stand system. These are solutions to problems. They each have 3 mechanisms. That's where we started. But the edges have edges. I can talk about this stuff forever. And I am talking about it forever. We're in rapid revenue roadmap type content, but it's CSC. It's a wholly different training. It's built upon all of the past trainings that cohorts have had and past members have access to, but it is entirely unique. It's fractal. So we elevate the offer. Whatever we thought was good, we now raise it to, hey, I'm going to be completely clear and transparent with you. This thing does not exist yet. For that reason, I'm going to do something I don't normally do, which is give you VIP access to me. Here's how that's going to look. We're going to have a community area. There's going to be a chat. We start in the chat. If things feel particularly secret or special or whatever, you have access to me on DMs. I have windows where I look at DMs. It's more often than not, I really want to be fast. I really want to be available. If we can't solve it asynchronously in DMs using Loom videos, then we schedule laser coaching. Laser coaching solves a single problem, should take less than 30 minutes. VIP, you have access to me in a level that no one else will have in the future once this thing is ironed out. But because it doesn't exist yet, and because you're going to get first mover benefits, VIP exists. And you can scale that up to whatever you want. You get a call a week. You get a call every 2 weeks. We do a special coaching call once a month. It's movable. You just get to say, hey, it's not lost on me that you're taking a risk. Here's how I make it a no-brainer for you with VIP level of white glove care. Equally, case studies, like we've already talked about, the main point on this is that I don't want to be selling. I want to be enrolling and looking for committed people. Commitment is how you get a case study. When someone shows up committed to a process that you think is the right process, and their commitment drives them to implement, how could they not win? How could they not end up being a great case study? So what we're building for is commitment and case studies. So by saying that up front, we take power out of the sales conversation, and I say sales in quotes, and we make it now an application. We make it now I'm looking for the right fits right now. So I would love to learn more about you, see if you're right for this version of the thing. If you need perfect worksheets, if you need, whatever things that you don't want to do, this isn't going to be right for you. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out, is if you're going to be a good fit for this version of the thing. And then cohort, no one likes an empty dance floor. This is productized. This is going to allow for community. This is going to allow for shared learning. This is going to allow for accountability. All of these benefits above content. Content is free. The information that you are going to deliver to people has zero value. ChatGPT could give it to them. They could read it in somebody else's book. They could spend the next 20 years learning the things you've learned the hard way. All of those are reasonable paths forward for somebody who's not you. So we don't sell on the information. We sell on what is actually valuable, which is access to you, which is your ability to get them committed and keep them doing what they say they'll do, and that they are not going to feel alone at any point in this entire process. That is value. Content is not. Step 3, once you have that idea and you feel confident in your ability to say, here's what I'm building and here's when we start, you open the door and you invite, and I edited this from people to someone. Where we want to start, if we can, is someone, singular. We want to enroll people specifically, right? Invitational sales is a whole system that I've built out. The headline is, we're thinking about things in one of two ways. One, hey, on Tuesdays, I do kickball. Kickball's fun. Do you want to come with me to play kickball? Open invite, people can join. Kickballs, you would like my team for kickball. Come with me to kickball. The other is, hey, I'm going to Charlotte to watch the Avett brothers play. I rented a Sprinter van. There are 7 seats. What we're talking about in this EES CSC is, I rented a Sprinter van. There are 8 VIP seats. I'm looking for 8 people for a case study cohort. I'm looking for 13. I'm looking for more than 3, right? 5 or less, 5 or fewer. You can, however works. And I think that you specifically might be a good fit. The reason we do this is because at no point should you feel yucky. This, when we do it right, is the most sincere act of generosity that you can conceive of. You have just spent however much time, a couple days maybe, a couple weeks maybe, masterminding the greatest, most valuable thing that you can conceive of. And now you are being generous in letting people know that it exists. And you're being specific to say it starts in 2 weeks and I have 8 seats. This is not coercion. This is true. We're not opening the Cheesecake Factory. We're opening an 8-top restaurant in a cute downtown. And so we talk about it. We do personal outreach. I'm looking for a few people. It is an application process, and there is a clear timeline. I built out a little bit of a script. I'm putting together. Here we go. I'll punch in. And you guys get these slides when I'm done. I'm putting together a small group of 7 clients for a new 12-week cohort where I'll be walking through the named the thing, that the way that you named the thing. And I immediately thought of you because of these conversations that we had, the work that you do here. I'm glad to share more if you're interested. The program starts June 1st. Let me know. Not selling anything. I just think you'd be a great fit. And then we convert in conversation. Everyone is quick, eager to create sales pages. Kyle, who joined not terribly long ago, One of the first things we did when we started working together was I had him meaningfully change the way his sales pages looked. We don't want someone to be able to buy anything because we are learning. We are looking to learn. Okay. And so the two main things that we're doing: learning, earning. Learning first. By getting into actual human conversations with actual humans, we learn the words they use to describe the things that they feel, the things that they experience. The objective in conversation to get someone to raise their hand and say, yeah, like, how much you selling the Avid Brother tickets for? Are you charging for the ride too? Is dinner? Well, let's have a conversation, right? We have a conversation to learn what's valuable and learn if it's making sense to people. You can't do that by spending 2 hours on a landing page and then sending an email to 50 people and having no one reply. There's no learning that happens when we do that. So the objective is a hand raise and a conversation. In the conversation, we understand who they are. We understand what's resonating. We get reps at reworking it as needed. And then what we have an opportunity to do is get explicit levels of commitment. When I did my cohorts, my commitment required was a 10 out of 10. In our conversion conversations, I said, cool, I know that you're wondering what the price is going to be. I promise we'll get there. What I need to know is, just based on the way I've described what I've described, what level of commitment could you show up for over the next 12 weeks? 1 to 10, 10 being like marriage and more, like the most committed. This is that important to me. I will give it everything I have. Some, people who said 9, I said, thank you. I don't even want to tell you the price, like, because I'm just looking for 10s. So like, this was awesome. I will come back to you once this is more buttoned up. When someone is a 10, it is impossible that they don't create value for themselves.
Tony, can I double click on this for a second?
Also have an opportunity to understand who they are and where they are and what their world looks like. By pulling pricing out of the process to this point, Kyle is able to realize that people in these conversations have budgets to draw on from their employers for continuing education.
And Tony, can you hear me right now?
Price could move up.
No. Okay.
Equally, I'm able to see, hey, this person is 10 out of 10. I want to charge $4,000. And I understand that their business and where they are right now doesn't make that a reality. My speakers are doing what? I can't hear
anything that anybody's saying.
Who's talking?
Lots of people.
Kyle. All right, 1 second.
Hold on. We're trying to make sure you can hear anybody.
Oh my gosh.
Test.
No wonder every time I asked you guys, you sounded like a ghost town. Stand by. Who's talking to me? How dare you in the middle of this training? Okay, Mo, I'm back.
Are you back? Can you hear?
Can I hear you?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Speaker. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
No, I'm plugged in.
Okay.
I have 2 of these headphones. I thought I put on the wrong one.
That's okay. Can you hear us now?
Mic check. 1 2 1 2. How about now?
We can hear you. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Sorry, everybody. Is Kyle still talking? I'm not getting any of it.
Testing. Hey.
I hear that.
MacBook as my. All right, no.
Tony.
MacBook as
Tony.
my.
Tony.
Hold on. We gotta come up with like an a cappella song that we can
There
just
we
sing.
go.
And wait for Tony.
Bueller.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm like, man, I normally, at least Deb will give me a sound back.
Yeah, I know.
I saw her laughing a couple times.
She did. You just
She was,
I tried to pipe in earlier and it was very sad. And then I was like, oh, my thing must be off.
No, oh God, I'm sweating now. Okay.
No, can you hear us now, Tony?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. So real quick, I want to double click on this topic that you're talking about, because to everyone on this call and whoever watches this recording later, I cannot stress how much of a doubter I was to Tony when we first got together and he started telling me this process of like, don't tell them the price, just get in, just ask them if they're committed. If it's not a 10, tell them you don't want them in the class. And I cannot stress to you, every single person that ever told me they weren't a 10 and I was like, hey, I totally get it. I'm only looking for 10s. Immediately was like, okay, I'm so sorry. Like I will be in. Like they felt like personally offended that I was not really wanting them in the class at that point. And then the conversation about money was the smoothest shit ever later. But that piece of the puzzle is in red text, bold red H1 text in my Google Doc that I use to have up when I have my like scripts when I'm talking to new candidates for my cohorts. It is so powerful. You have to try it. And it's super awkward and nervous to try it the first couple times, but holy hell, does it work. Anyway, that's all I wanted to add, Tony.
Kyle, are you saying that they converted in the same call, or are you saying the next time you talked with them, the money conversation was easy? You're saying they converted from a 9 to a 10 for themselves when they got the feedback.
That's right. And the ones that converted from themselves from not a 10 to a 10, on average, pay more.
Yeah. I've seen that to be true also. And I will also say, you don't sell. They sell themselves. So you say, okay, listen, I'm so grateful for the time. I know that this is going to be right for you eventually. Like when you're in a place where you can show up, like maybe it's the timing, maybe it's the thing, and there are, you would have talked about like the details. We meet on Tuesdays. We do that. I need a 10 out of 10, and that's okay that you're not. And they go, well, like maybe I have to talk to my wife or I have to talk to my business partner. Like, okay, I understand that. Also, I can't, this isn't an open door thing. People can't just constantly. Here's the thing. 10 hours, just because it's arbitrary and it's important. 10 hours from now is 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'll send you a link to the checkout page. If you're a 10, check out. I'll know that you're committed, and then we'll get you started onboarding. There are two ways to do it, but knowing that you are not in the business of coercing and you just want 10s is one of the most powerful things you can do in enrolling people. And it sets a tone. It sets a tone. It's like, this is not about the money for me. This is about commitment. Thank you, Kyle. And so this is the framework. We go over it inside the EES in a couple different places. But I like on these calls to start by being a leader. And part of being a leader is like, hey, listen, like, I hope the weather's good by you. Also, this is what we're going to do today. I want this call to be valuable. The way that I found it to be most valuable is that I use a GPS framework, right? I want to know where you're going. I got to know where you are right now. I got to know what's in the way so that there's context to tell you about what this community is going to operate like, what this program is built for. And so it shouldn't take terribly long, but I have allocated, I would allocate 90 minutes. I'm in the business of demoing who I am for people. And so I will lose on the front end to make it clear that my obsession is you. Committed or very planet. It's helpful for me. Yes. Yes. We want people to meet us on this level of a commitment. And if they're like, hey, I got 15 minutes for this connection call, you go, cool, we're not a fit. I block 90. I block 60. I block whatever it is. I'm here. I want that this call standalone. I would call it, it's important that if you can name it in a way where it's clear that they should be walking away with value. An example of a bad name is a qualifying call. I am qualifying you as a lead. That is internal talk. External is we're going to do a workspace audit. We're going to do a QuickBooks optimization baseline test. We're going to do a listening assessment thingamabob, right? We name the thing so it's clear that on the front end they're getting value. Here's how it flows. Where do you want to be? What's going on right now? What would you say are the things that are in the way? Like, what's making that goal not a reality today? Cool. Here's how that maps to our program. Here's how it maps to the 8 weeks or the 12 weeks or the whatever. Here's how we're going to address all the things that you're saying are problems. Here's how it looks likely to me that the goals that you say are important will be achieved. Here's how it moves timeline wise. Here's where the cadence is. Here's the plan. Here's the what you do if there's a problem. Are there any issues with that? How committed could you be based on what you know? 10 out of 10. Amazing. Cool. All right. So here's the next steps. Here's what we're doing. Offering becomes established. Understand that you are absolutely serious. Absolutely. This is it. This is what I'm doing. And this is the magic. And so what I'll want to pin this. We're a couple minutes over the expected timeline. I will go for as long as this is useful and important. The appendix is that to launch this, you don't need to rework any of your wheels. You communicate wherever you communicate. If you have a pulse on LinkedIn, you're going to use LinkedIn. If you have a pulse on Instagram, you're going to use Instagram. If you have an email list, emails. If you just text people, text people. If you have one-to-one email with past clients, one-to-one email with past clients. Keep it stupid simple. You are not stupid. Neither are they. Keep the system stupid simple. That means for where I'm standing, we're using emails, we're using Google Docs, we're using text messages and phone calls. We do not need to buy every bit of software that promises to make the process easier. Here is the truth. Here's the truth. Here's the truth. With requisite value, the customer will do whatever it takes to join. With a requisite amount of value communicated, the customer will do whatever it takes. One of the things I said to Kyle that I seemed to tickle him was that if we do this right, someone goes, I'm a 10 out of 10. You go, great. So what I need you to do is go to your bank, take out a cashier's check for $3,000, then go to FedEx and overnight it. I need a signature request. If it's not in my hand, the check's not in my hands by tomorrow at 5, you're not in. The right person goes, all right, I got to figure out what a cashier's check is. Let's do it. This is great. I'm in. I'm that in. So it doesn't matter that you have a clean Stripe integration into your site. It doesn't matter that it's built to be a recurring payment system and everything's going to be buttoned up. It doesn't matter that you have the perfectly optimized website with Google Analytics and tracking. We're doing human things that are simple, and we want someone to go, I'm in. Is there a chance this could scare someone away? Of course. Of course. That person's not a good fit for this version of the thing. The amount of times people swipe credit cards on websites, Amazon is not optimized to look good. It's optimized to sell stuff. You don't need, like, hey, listen, cobbler with holes in his shoes. I understand I'm teaching website optimization business strategy, and I'm using Google Docs to describe what it is that we're working on together. My focus is you, not the look and feel of my website that almost no one goes to. You're going to buy because of me. You're not going to buy because of the landing page. That changes. Michael is on the call. His app, Grapple app, has to be dialed. That landing page is a different experience than the experience we're going to do creating a cohort. So this is not universally true, but when doing something of value for humans that are small groups, it doesn't need to be crazy. So what do I recommend? Tech as needed. I think email with G Suite. G Suite paid. We've done a workshop on this in depth, how to set up a paid Google Workspace, how to optimize inboxes. I think this is do not pass go for most people, but you can absolutely run with a Gmail account. If there's a thing to change, if we make that pro and then you are pro. We need a way to collect payment. They can send checks and FedEx overnight them. Stripe is the most common integration today. PayPal is perfectly reasonable. A couple extra windows open. I don't love QuickBooks sending invoices versus having a place where someone just puts credit card information in, checks out. When people say they're 10 out of 10, I say, cool. Is it crazy that this would, based on what you've told me, the effect on your business would be, based on your level of commitment, is it crazy that this would be $10,000 or $20,000? Crazy? No. Could I pay for it? No. Okay, cool. Well, it's not that. I want to make it clear. We're going to change your life. You're going to change your relationship with your family, your kids, your colleagues. The value is insane. It's $2,500. We're in. I'm going to send you the checkout link. It's a new system. I want just check out now. I want to make sure that I see it on my end. And then by the end of the day, you'll have the next steps. Energy is everything on this. Absolutely. This is simple. This is about being simple. You're going to troubleshoot. A guy had a VPN. With the VPN, his credentials for PayPal were missing. Cool, man. I got nothing to do. I blocked 90 minutes for this. Let's just make sure you get across the finish line, and then I'll send you the onboarding next steps. So this all happens without anything that is like externally facing. Next most important thing is like an email system, and a rudimentary pipeline is useful, not important necessarily or critical. I like to gamify things, so it helps me. I think yet another mail merge is valuable in processes like this, because you are now sending individualized one-of-one emails to people without an opt-out button, which makes it clear that this is not a marketing message. This is me reaching out to you. So if there is a machine gun technology to use to reach out to people for high value offers, it would be a mail merge versus a MailChimp or Constant Contact. If you're going to use one of those, I like Kit. They're all about the same and not critical at this phase of enrollment. Last notes is that websites are useful, but not critical to enroll people into concepts like this. We need documents that communicate. We need Loom videos are a good idea. Hidden YouTube videos where you talk about the thing that you're building. Use an iPad like this to map it out, but nothing needs built. Like, you can just talk to people and transmute your energy and vision into their brains, and they should go, sick, I'm in, if we're doing it right. So websites are helpful, not critical, and they should not be blockers. If you're going to build anything, I would say it's a landing page. I use ThriveCart. Landing page, it says the bare minimum. All sales are final. Here's the bullets. You should have already have talked to them by the time anyone sees a landing page that has a checkout experience. And it should just be, I don't know. It should just be as simple as possible. We're keeping everything simple. This is not a long form sales page landing page. This is a single page that allows someone to say, I'm already in. Where do I put my card? Right here. And then not critical, but I have loved my experience, and my wife uses it for her communities. Circle.io, I do like as community building. But you could easily pull it off in a WhatsApp text group, a link to shared Google Drives. You already have the ability to do Google Hangouts with your Google Workspace. You do not need Zoom. Keep it as simple as possible. What we want is people to say, yes, I did not pay for Circle until I had customers. And I think you shouldn't either. Questions, answers, 55-ish minutes of me rambling with the mic or the speakers turned off on my side. So if you had questions along the way, now is the time to let me know. Let's poke and prod. What feels like BS? What feels wrong? What feels off? Where do you go? Yeah, but isn't that icky?
Tony, question. So
Yes.
I'm wondering how this might apply to the business to business side. So I'm doing the AI training like Kyle, but the customer is usually or a couple things that we've settled on. Either it is a business purchasing training for their employees, which that's one. The other is an organization basically sponsoring the training for a community that they hold dear, right? So like a business commerce, small business commerce, basically saying we're sponsoring training for 10 small businesses, which I think works well in the cohort model.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess is that where this would go, or that's how I would approach these, where it's like if I'm having conversation with that partner or that person who has the budget and kind of saying these are the cohorts, this is how you would join it, this is what it looks like, and if you're interested, this is what we do. If you're not, is that the cleanest?
There's no if.
Yeah.
Like, what's the easiest way for you to get started today? You're going to put them on their back foot towards making a decision on the call. Yeah. And Tony, maybe I'm paraphrasing things you've already told me many times, but just like that's the critical element. You don't give them the option to say no, which is hard. You got to like craft that, but that's it. You sell them the value and you go, what's the step you're willing to invest in today?
Mm-hmm. I think that's right. I think that you want to really set the tone. So pre-call / at the top of the call, I do some expectation into agreements. Like, hey, here's what we're going for today. By the end of the call, we should know if we're a fit or not. And it should be crystal clear what the next step is. Right? If something is needed to make a choice as to whether or not we're moving forward, and it's not on this call with us right now, we shouldn't have the call. Like, I want to speak to the committee. I want to speak to the team. I want to I don't want that we're playing phone tag because this is too important. It's happening now. We need to move, quickly. And if that doesn't work for you, that's fine. But like the cohort starts June 1st, right? If you want something custom, potentially we could talk about that. But the cohort starts June 4th. And so we just have to change the context of the conversation. When thinking B2B, Kamo has had a bunch of reps on this. My sense is that it's really critical that we get into discovery mode to learn the language they use to define what is valuable to them. This is true in every call like this. We want to use their words back to them. And so it's like, hey, are we looking for improved KPIs? Cool. That's a buzzword. What are the key performance indicators that you track? Because KPI, like I can't just say we're going to be, oh, you care about speed to lead and conversion? Awesome. We're going to talk about automations that make sure that no lead ever goes missed. What else do you care about? Oh, you care about making sure that your team is as cutting edge and up to date on the cool. We'll make sure that we build a system such that all of the news in the domain that you pay attention to is summarized. And we need to know what they care about so that we can map the product using the language that they have. I'll flag that what came up for me when you said people who will win or like buy 10 seats for a community is that now you have like a layer of abstraction or dislocation between the level of commitment that you're looking for and the person who needs to show that level of commitment. What I would just ask is that you do some stuff. David, what a pleasure. If you have any emails or questions, send them my way, but we'll talk tomorrow. You have a layer of abstraction and dislocation between the user who needs to be committed and the person who is making the purchase. And so I would just request, hey, like I want that there's an application process on this. And I want that we're getting a sense of who's going to be in the room and make it clear that this is not just a thing that you can skip, that this is a thing that you could show up 20 minutes late to, that this is a thing that if it's free. So what's the value? Mm-hmm. We want to be relatively premium for everyone that touches us. And what is beautiful in this system, that when we do things the way that I've kind of mapped out, is that can scale based on who we're talking to. We just need commitment. Commitment means that you are skin in the game. How much skin is relative to you?
Mhm.
We do not do free audits of the whole thing, but you could scale it down to nothing, because what is the difference between 8 people in the group and 9? Almost nothing. And especially if that 9th person is showing up with an enthusiasm, a hunger, an excitement, a curiosity, hell yeah, bring them on. I'm already doing the calls. So $100 a month or a $500 instead of $5,000 for the course, there's a difference. I care about case studies. I need that this person is committed. I need that they have an interesting story. I need that I'm able to track where they are now to where they are by the end of the time together, so that I can tell compelling stories about it.
So in that case, I am having a conversation with the decision maker, right? So this is not the person who would be in the class, but I'm making it very clear that, hey, first off, if you are going to offer this to your community, this is a high quality product. So if this is just a thing you want to just jump around and do, this is probably not going to be a good fit, because whoever is in your community that's going to do this needs to fit this level of criteria. And if you
Yeah,
don't have folks, yeah, go ahead.
I wouldn't say it's going to be bad. I would, whenever possible, we want to speak in the affirmative. So it's like, hey, this is exciting. I want to serve your community too. Here's what we're looking for together from your community. So like, immediately, I think this is great. Let's start with a package of five. That's $5,000. This is going to be great. Here's how we select for the right 5 people. It's by commitment. And so I need that we build a quick and dirty, but application process that has people self-select how committed they are. I don't want that we just give this to people and they feel like it's a freebie, and therefore show up as half-hearted, half-assed.
Mhm.
Kamo, how
yeah.
what have you, because Kamo's sold to teams of 5, 6, 10.
I had that exact thing that Tony just talked about. I had a CEO pull 4 people from his team into a meeting, and one guy, it was blatantly obvious from the very first minute of the call how much he did not want to be on that call. And dude, it sucked the air out of the room for everybody else. And I spent like a huge amount of mental effort over the first hour session that we did with this group of 10, basically mitigating that guy's negative energy. And when the call was over, I called the CEO and I said, your guy's no longer welcome. Like, real sorry, but you need to go talk to that dude. You've already been refunded for what you paid for him. Like it's already done. There's no option here. And I will never again invite people into a live training session or a live cohort without talking to them. So you want to sign up 5 people? Dope. Let me know when their calendars are available so I can meet with them before the first day, because I need to weed those people out. And so you have to have a personal connection with everybody. And if you got a person that's like, I want you to train 40 people, you just signed yourself up for 40, 15 to 30-minute meetings. Like, cost has got to be absorbed into that for your time as well. But you like the worst possible thing that can happen is a rando showing up and just derailing the meeting.
There is a reason one bad apple spoils the bunch is still used. It's true. Energy is contagious. And so we have to track for it. And the best way that I have to assess is with long form conversational selling, where people have been invited in, they've raised their hand, it has consent at every step of the process. Hey, are you cool if we transition into like the details of how this is going to work? Last step is going to be payment, but like I want to just show you exactly what we're going to do together. Yes. Okay, cool. Is it cool that we we talk now about? Yes, it's cool. And so we're getting consent at every step, and we're learning who these people are. And so this is about B2B with Monk. This is about selling generally to everyone, right? We are, I call it pre-qualifying in some of the notes that I've had for this, and objection handling. But at no point do I want to actually handle objections. I don't want to feel like I am troubleshooting or coercing. I want it to be clear that I have a system, I have a plan. If it works for you, it works for me. If it doesn't work for you, if you can't get committed to it, great. This isn't about the money for me. This is about the commitment. There's no more powerful place to create from or sell from than that place. All right, Jaren's had his hand up for an hour. I'm going to just, Jaren, talk to me.
I think I'm more just, I would like to hear you and Kyle or anyone else on here speak to the level of, I don't want to use the word aggression because I feel like it has a negative connotation to it, but I'll provide a bit of context. So with this cohort conversation taking place, there's myself and about 3 other people who are offering this, I guess, a service to students who want to transfer to the Ivy Leagues and T20s and T10 schools, just like we have. So like fellow kids who are 19, 20, 21 like me. But I'm finding that students who are in this position and wanting to transfer, they're already a bit hesitant. They're not like fully set. And I just fear that, I guess, being aggressive or being like very, hey, like come to this course or come to this cohort or like be a part of this community and like let us help you.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I have scared people away.
Cool.
And
I'll immediately say that aggression is not the word that I would want to use.
Great.
Confidence. Like there's a power in this phrase. If you can match my level of commitment, it is impossible that you don't succeed. If you can match my level of commitment, it's impossible that you don't succeed. That is about as powerful as a place that you could speak from as exists. And so I don't need to be aggressive to know that that's a true statement. I get to be generous. I get to be consistent and persistent. Hey, you told me this was important to you. So I'm the type of person who follows up and checks in because you said this was important to you and you're important to me. That's not aggressive. That's generous. That's thoughtful. I think that you're right to flag aggression. Okay. What I'll flag for you to consider, and this is outside the scope of this, is that, but it's similar to what Monk is going through. Is it hard to invitation to sell a ticking timeline? No, I think it actually pushes people into action, right? So I'm going to pull this all together. We have an offer for a perfect client type as well as we can see the future and as well as we can see the world. That perfect client, if we can talk to them and they're the decision maker, they own the purse strings, then we have everything bundled up in the tightest, most beautiful package you could hope for. My first entrepreneurial endeavor in out of college was I started a concept of business called Study Abroad Saver, where I was selling effectively any version of sales booklet type thing to study abroad students in Florence, Italy. And I built together this whole packet and I priced it premium, learned a ton through the process. The issue was that I was selling to a user, but not communicating to the buyer. So there is a version of an issue that you're coming into, Jaren, Monk, Kyle, Brett, where you're going to be communicating to users, but not to the end buyer. And that makes things complex. We want that we are talking to the person who makes the decisions or the choices inside of an organization. But we also need that the person who's going to be in our group is committed. To continue with Jaren's example, you sell to mom and dad whose kid went to, I don't know what a T10 or 20 school is. I'm sure it's nice. Kid who's there, but they want to do the old Indiana Jones sandbag, steal the gold, send the kid to Ivy League after a year. Cool. I'll sell that to mom and dad for $4,000. What's that compared to the $50,000 they're spending on a private education? Awesome. But their kid sucks isn't interested, won't do the work, and you're slamming your head against the wall, and the kid doesn't get into the Ivy Leagues because you can't make it happen. They have to. So you have a hard sales experience baked right in. And I'm flagging that it's hard problems when they're solved are very lucrative. Of course, Monk. Same with you, right? So you're selling into a buyer who's not necessarily the purse strings. We have to have very thoughtful approaches to it. Is it hard to invitation to sell a ticking timeline? Give me title. What do you mean by title?
He said T10 or T20. I was just wondering if it was title 10. But yeah,
10.
is it hard to invitation sell a ticking timeline, right? Because invitation sales is basically, an open-ended thing, right? But you're saying, nay, it very much can help propel something with the timeline, like the launch of
everything.
An app.
Yeah, it's everything. So the examples that I like to use are open and then hyper closed. Open would be, hey, on Tuesdays, I do dodgeball. On Tuesdays, we do trivia night. If you'd like to come with me on Tuesdays to go to trivia night, let me know. I got room on my team. I'd love to have you. That's open. That's always going to be a thing that you might enroll people into. It's not every day. It's every Tuesday or every first of the month. We do a thing. If you want to come, you can come. I have guests. Jaron is a guest on this office hours and on this workshop. I'm doing the workshop. Jaron, come along. This is going to be useful to you. Okay. I'm doing a cohort that starts on June 1st. That maps to, hey, there is a concert in Charlotte. Hey, there is a conference in Charlotte. I rented a Sprinter van. Hey, the CJI is happening in August. I have a Sprinter van driving from Space Coast to Vegas. It seats 8 people. Do you want to be one of those 8 people? We leave August 1st.
I have puppies.
Right? It's invitational, but it's super specific. I have this many seats. It starts on this amount of time. We are back August 14th. Right? And so it is generous. It's like, hey, if this sounds like something you're into, let me know. I would love for you to join me. But if you tell me on the 1st, I already left.
I'm hearing what you're saying last week was you do 2 things, one for free and one for high ticket sale, right?
Yes. And there's a million versions of how this could map out, but yes. So what I'm talking about in this particular training is instead of course creation and instead of jumping into community, we launch with a cohort program. And the benefits are many, but what it allows for is a productized offer that is highly valuable, that is premium, and has a end date that allows for people to go and say yes. We want someone to say yes. We want 5 to 8 to 12 people to say yes. And we want them to pay a premium amount of money because then it pays for you to build the thing out. And then the magic is that at week 8 of 12, you've now finished the curriculum. You've figured out what it is that you're going to do for the next 4 weeks. And now you're masterminding enrollment into a community that continues for the next 9 months. Mm-hmm. Right. And so there is a one of the gifts of this model is that after 2 or 3 people saying yes, you have validated it. This is a thing. This is a thing that people say yes to. Cool. What is the cost of one more person joining? Very low, relatively. And you could do things with VIP and how you play with that area to make it relatively high for you, a call a week or whatever. But it's the marginal cost is almost nothing. I've transitioned from cohort-based to community-based. And so I'm doing this training for Brett mostly, but for everyone and anyone who wants to come, fucking come, because you're going to know who I am by the end of 90 minutes together. And you're going to say, holy shit, what's all that other stuff that he had talked about ideal offer architecture. What does that mean? Invitational sales. You did a training on that. So like, why wouldn't I want someone here? So it's not that you start with something free and something paid. I'm just mapping the world of invitational selling in those two like on a continuum. And the most important or the most exciting one is, hey, my bakery opens at 10 a.m. We sell out by 1 p.m. There's a line at the door around 8. If you like what I do, come by, but you want to be in line. This allows for like, hey, I'm doing this cohort now. I'm going to close the door at some point. When the second cohort, if you're interested, just, I'll put you on the list. And so now we build a world where people are always hopeful to be a part of it. In your world, I think that you have offers with the Grapple app that are going to be very low, a couple dollars a month, be on the platform software. I think you have the opportunity to go, hey, we give a reasonable amount of value to everyone on that platform. People want to go, and this is perhaps the underline. You want to go farther, faster. You want to be in this cohort. Because I do a lot of stuff publicly that is free and helpful, or I have my app, which is low cost and very valuable. But if you want to go farther, faster, you want to be in a very small team, which is this cohort. We care about accountability and commitment. Demonstrate your level of commitment. If you can match my level of commitment, it is impossible that you don't succeed.
Okay. Yeah, I see it. It ties right into that horizontal integration that we were talking about, and it really does help me focus on that niche. By the way, hello everybody. My name is Michael. I own Grapple App. I help mobile jiu-jitsu instructors grow their business, and I really appreciate the invitation sales stuff. Really changed a lot of things because 4 people tonight are coming to the mastermind as guests that have just kind of naturally inquired over time, like, hey, professional networks, you have one, right? And I'm like, yeah, I do, and I'm in several that I'd recommend.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, and
thank you.
The cost of extra people in that space for you, nothing. If there was an upsell where it's like, hey, you guys, like, this isn't it. This is part of the world that I'm building. I have this program. I want to take 5 people from purple belt to highly profitable mobile jiu-jitsu business owner. Only looking for 5. It's going to be very high touch. We're going to do this all like together. What's the value of that? Save your down payment. Forget the 10-year real estate lease. Let's go. This is about velocity and impact. That's high value.
I love that.
That's super high value. And that is a cash injection. That's like what I led with, is that this should kill any dreams of course, postpone any dreams of community. And this is valuable in all types of businesses as a way to inject cash and then allow for recurring revenue. What is potentially different in Jaren, like once someone transfers, like there isn't necessarily a follow-on sale that I could see, other than like you start doing stuff about life once you're at the Ivy League. That's a different product, and some sort of like an expat community type offer where you're like, hey, we all are the new guys at Ivy Leagues and we have a unique experience, so we're going to talk about it in this community. Grapple App, Michael, you are go.
Yo, I wanted to see if there was an opportunity to address the you proposed to me the organic solution versus putting money into specific ads for this area. If it's not the right time for that, I appreciate, but I
it
did
is.
like, okay,
I'm
perfect.
going to hit stop recording.